Hello YouTube. I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time. This is going to be a quick rush over of what I did on this car. It's a 2007 Subaru Impreza 2.5i, and without further ado, we are going to pop the hood pins and see what I've done here. Now, for most of you, if you know Subarus at all, you know this is an EZ30D, not the EZ30R. It's a newer generation. Slight difficulties with doing that on a budget. I'm sure a lot of you might argue, but this was done with very few dollars and over a course of a winter. So let's get into how I did this. I'll try to give you as much help in the comments, so if you have any questions on how I did this, I'll give you most help I can possibly give. I have technical data too for the wiring harness and how to do the fuel and all this nonsense. So this EZ30D, the H6, will come out of an Outback or a Legacy and bolt right into this. If you have an automatic, it'll just bolt right up, bell housing, torque converter, bolt right in using the Outback mounts. The EJ mounts will not work on this motor. I've heard rumors about that. It won't work. They don't bolt up. Use the Outback mounts. They work out just fine. Then if you were using a manual transmission, like I am, the flywheel will just bolt right onto the crank, and you can use the clutch, and it'll work out just fine. And don't mind the clinking in the background. That's just my sulky dog over there. He doesn't want to be in here, but it's too loud outside. Hey, what's going on? Okay, back to the car. So when it comes to the electrical part of running this engine, there are cheaper ways of doing it. Well, maybe not cheaper, smarter ways of doing it than I did. I used the OEM harness and the computer from the Outback. And this mess of wires back here is most of that harness, just the engine part and the transmission part of the harness from the Outback. You have to use the safety neutral switch. It has to be in neutral or park for the engine to turn on. You can just leave it in neutral and rev it all the way to red line. That's not a problem. This wire here coming from the alternator goes to the fuse box, which is where the airbag used to be. And then the other side goes to this car. So I have two ECUs running this car. I have the 2.5 Impreza computer here. This is my area of shame in this car. I haven't hit it or made it pretty, but the Outback harness is just all over the place. A lot of it can be reduced. You can reduce it a lot more than I did. I just wanted to get it running and driving. This is the 2.5 Subaru computer, which runs half of the fuel system, and the rest of the car, the windows and the doors and everything else work. The locks work. And then this big old mess goes up to the Outback computer. The Outback computer I have tied in so that the tachometer over here will read it. It reads 1000 RPM off, so it actually redlines somewhere at the Z and Impreza. Roughly, it's supposed to be about 7,000, 7,500. I don't actually know, but it works. I'm also using the key for the Outback to run the motor. The other key runs the car. Turn that key on, the fuel system will turn on, but you won't get any fuel. Turn this key on, and the fuel system will prime, and you can turn the car on. We'll get to that after. But you also have to turn the power on. That's different because I had to move the battery from the front to the back because, you know, race car, had to put in a strut brace because, you know, race car. But back to it. The only other thing I would recommend doing is upgrading the cooling system, how to make a bracket so an Impreza aftermarket rad will fit. Oddly enough, no aftermarket performance parts for the EZ30D. Very hard to find, so I just made a cheapy Impreza one fit. The fuel system, brief. The original fuel system from the Outback is a return system, so 3 rubber hoses going to the engine. The 07 Impreza like this is only 2, so it's returnless. So there's 1 evap, 1 pressure. I had to adapt the fuel rail, and yes, I know it looks sketchy, but it only does about 50 psi, so this stays. I mean, I'm always worried about it, but I kind of forget about it. Haven't had a problem. Car's been like this for about a year, and I've done autocross events. Haven't had a problem. You might do something different, like braze the line, or you might not have a problem if you put it into an older car. I think they ran return styles in 2005 cars. But other than that, I put my own little intake on there. The power steering and all the alternator, they bolt right on. I used the power steering reservoir from the other car because the one from this car is too big. It hits the motor. And other than that, without further ado, we'll start her up. Now the exhaust system, I had to make custom. I took the manifolds off of the other car and just made my own exhaust systems back from that because the Outback ones will not work. So power, turn the car on. Now check engine lights obviously there because the engine isn't in there anymore. That's my fuel relay clicking away. Now we're priming and we'll start this up. Now everything else in the car works because I'm using the other computer. I don't have to pin it out. Maybe it might have been nicer to do, but this is the cheapest way I could do it. And that is that. I put my key there because I could hide it. And if someone tries to steal my car, really, I mean, they have to find this key, that key, and have this key. Or break in and try to bust it. It's not going to work. But anyway, that was my quick view of this car. Like I said, have any questions at all, hit me up in the comments. I'll try to help you out as much as I can. I have technical data for pinouts for both ECUs. I'll just have to sort through stuff. If you need any other help, just let me know. I'll do my best to help. This is a very fun car with this motor. We're doing about 212 horsepower and 210 foot-pounds of torque. You might be able to turbo this, but for what I use this car for, I don't need stupid power levels. And from what I hear, the newer version of this engine, the EZ30R, is a better candidate for that. So thanks for watching, and like I said, need help, let me know. I'll do my best to help you out. Thanks.